Thank you very much, everyone, for having me here today. Although you probably owe me a thank you, right? Because you get a reprieve, brief reprieve from school. It's Veterans Day, or at least tomorrow is, and oftentimes I don't usually refer to myself as a veteran. I would usually say that I'm a former Green Beret. The Green Beret being the nickname given to those who serve in the U.S. Army Special Forces because of this dark green beret that we wear that's part of our uniform. In 1962, John F. Kennedy called the Green Beret a symbol of excellence, a badge of courage, and a mark of distinction in the fight for freedom. But being a Green Beret is not really about what we wear on our head. It's about character, and in particular, it's about honor. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today, is honor. Some say there's two faces of honor. Excuse me. But I say there's three when you consider spiritual honor, the honorable status that God grants us for all eternity through Christ. But the human face of honor, one face of honor is how we conduct ourselves, how we act day to day. In particular, honor is connected whether we act in accordance with the four virtues. The four virtues were described by the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle and Christian leaders like Solomon and St. Augustine. The four cardinal virtues are temperance, justice, prudence, and fortitude, also known as courage. A person should strive to act in accordance with these four virtues in order to reach his or her highest potential as a human being. A person who acts in accordance with these virtues demonstrates honor. It is stamped on him or her. You can see it in the way that they treat one another and in the way that they conduct themselves. They have self-control. They act in a way that is just or righteous. They take responsibility for their actions. They don't do things to harm other people. They are prudent. That is, they're able to discern what the right thing to do in any situation. And lastly, they have fortitude, also known as courage. They speak up, even when it's difficult to do so. They speak up, even when it may not be the most popular thing to do. They do what must be done. They do the hard right over the easy wrong, even if they're being mocked, and even if it harms their reputation in the short term. But these two faces of human honor, there's another face. This is a face of false honor. It's false because it does not come from having honor stamped on your character because you have acted according to these four virtues. It is pride. It is a false sense of righteousness that is really a desire to guard one's own reputation above all else. It's being enamored of one's own image as an honorable person rather than actually having true honor. And I wanted to talk to you today about honor on Veterans Day because honor is so closely tied with serving your country. But I think this desire for honor lies deeply within all of us, whether we want to serve in the military or do something much different. We want to feel that our aims are honorable, that our actions in life will be honorable, and that we will become honorable people. But how exactly does honor fit in? Maybe you think, like me, that you will get honor by serving in the military, that the honor will come through this intensive training that you go through, or from serving in combat in wartime, and that the evidence of honor will be the badges and the awards that you wear on your military uniform. And that could be partly true. The military can help you learn temperance, which is similar to self-discipline, being able to exercise control over yourself in order to physically and mentally endure and grow stronger. But I have something to tell you all. Not all those that serve are honorable, even our commanders. They may have temperance and they may have fortitude, but they lack prudence or justice. Some of them do not choose to do the right thing. So I want to tell you about a story about two faces of honor, a personal story, one from Ranger School and another from war. So training and suffering, as you probably know, is a very important part of the special operations units that I served in. The Special Forces Assessment and Selection Course, Ranger School, Special Forces Combat Dive Qualification Course. Those were opportunities for me to observe acts of honor, because in those times of difficulty and anguish and exhaustion, strong bonds are formed between people. During the last phase of Ranger School, the swamp phase in the Florida Panhandle, our platoon leader, who was also our class leader, fell down ahead of us as we waded through the swamp, and he quit. He said, "I'm done. I can't go any further." We were almost done with Ranger School. We had been in the swamp for over a week, moving all day long, every day. We had very little food, no sleep, everyone hurt, many people were injured. And Sergeant First Class May was carrying the big 240 machine gun, and he had over a 100-pound ruck. And as exhausted Ranger trainees were walking right by him, seemingly unaware that he was even down or unable to do anything about it out of their own exhaustion, I stopped and I called out his name. I helped him up, and we exchanged rucksacks, shared some words of encouragement, and we moved out together. And there are examples like that happen every single day in those difficult training environments. And Sergeant First Class May and I graduated together and earned the Ranger tab, and a bond was formed between both of us that we'll never forget. But that was a training exercise. When deployed and serving in war, it becomes much more difficult to be honorable, and there were times that I failed. In Afghanistan, our 12-man detachment lived in a village in the middle of nowhere among the locals, and we trained a local fighting force. We had no running water. We had a couple of generators. We lived on goat, rice, potatoes, and MREs. We worked and trained and patrolled and played softball together. There was an American awake at all times, at least one for those 8 months, and there were times that our 12-man ODA did 3-team operations. We were in multiple firefights. We were ambushed. The team that we replaced spent $1 million building an enormous compound out in the middle of nowhere for us to move into. Then the mission changed, and they blew up the entire compound. No one took responsibility for that. No one paid back that $1 million or assessed the impact that $1 million has on a third world village. We had an Afghan security guard. This unit was attached to us. It was a 12-man unit that was made up of local Afghanis from all over the country. They were from different tribes living together in a little unit. This caused problems that resulted in us taking action. Actions that I later realized were not just. One of them stole an AK rifle, for example, and that resulted in us taking action. During our deployment, our team would receive intelligence reports from locals that would result in a night raid by us. These night raids were dangerous and destructive. And due to NATO rules, it was illegal for Afghans to own a gun, so we would confiscate their personal weapons and treat that person like a criminal. Weapons that were most likely for their own protection from the same people that we were fighting. And we wondered sometimes if the intelligence given to us wasn't actually an attempt to use us to exact some kind of revenge on a rival tribal leader. But truth is the first casualty in war. And in war, you go all the way. So I humble myself in front of you today by telling you this because in order for people to be honorable, they have to be willing to be held accountable, or to hold others accountable and acknowledge when they've done something wrong and then work to correct it. And we don't have enough of this today. There have been foreign policy blunders from Iran to Afghanistan, yet no one apologizes. No one does the honorable thing and takes responsibility. Honor requires accountability. And this is very bad for our country because we know that some of our leaders in high positions are not honorable. Many of them wear the face of false honor that I spoke of. They walk tall and they're proud, but not because they've chosen right and live virtuously. And we cannot force honor on those people, but we can hold them accountable. And I believe that the most important face of honor is the third face of honor, spiritual honor, the fruits of which are joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So I ask all of you here today, if you want to live a life that is honorable, to become a person of honor, then you must commit to doing this today. The military won't make you an honorable person. We need honorable people serving in the military and becoming leaders so that our military is led by honorable men and women. And we need honorable people here in Indiana, in our communities, in Western Boone County. Honorable people are the most valuable when they're here, serving our local community, starting businesses, raising families, becoming leaders in our churches, running for local offices, and helping others. Without honor, there's no peace, there's no justice. Without honor, we have no future. So I implore you today to choose the correct face of honor and stamp it on your character and put it into practice no matter what you do. Thank you, Weibo. Deo presso liber.